Live. You said you didn't want to be on the thing,
Okay.
so I'm gonna respect your wishes. What's up,
You
folks?
always respect my wishes.
Yeah. Well, we are live on another walk and talk with the dog. That's what I started calling this thing because it just be making me think.
Very creative.
Is it?
No.
Oh,
Sorry.
I was like, I didn't think it was. It just is what it is. But yeah, we are here walking and talking with the dog and my wife. She gonna be the videographer though, huh?
I am.
Yeah. I think so. I think so. Why not?
Because I'm exercising.
Oh, okay. Well then, exercise on. Um, so we'll sit here, but no. All right. So there's a couple of things that I think about like a lot in terms of things. So like the topic today that I have is uh, humming to like. Remember I was telling you I figured out how to like hum the guitar solos. Like if you just hum like over a song as if you would, your mind naturally kind of makes up its own beat. If you hum to like a song and you just make that beat on the guitar. But then also thinking about, did I ever tell you the story of Guernica, the Pablo Picasso painting?
Tell it again.
Was the reason why I thought about that. So like I talk about like artist responsibility and kind of what I think our role is in this. And a lot of the times, like I look at the work that I'm doing now, and there was a time that I was making work that was like really charged and about whatever it was. This is when we were in college. And it was just very, very, very charged. And then there's like a time now where some of the work that I make or songs that I might write or whatever might actually be about what's going on. But then like I don't necessarily feel as compelled to do it so much as if it hits, if the idea hits and I'm interested, cool. Versus, there's a mix of like me being just as interested in expressing aspects of everyday life as I am of current events. And I think like there's a point, like a lot of artists kind of go back and forth with that. And so Guernica from Picasso was kind of an example of that for me because it was during the World War II and the Nazis and stuff like that. And I actually found the sketch that the Nazis ran into online. I wonder if I can put it on here and show it. But yeah, so I'm going to talk about that and then like using art to create like mental distance, like from things that are going on.
I think it's mental distance, but for me, it's more so mental processing, emotional processing, because there's so much of like what there's so much that we don't know that like is understood on a soul level. That's why I love my abstract art so much because it's literally just like whatever is coming through, coming out is being, it's being expressed.
Right.
And maybe it'll be interpreted later by our children or, who knows. But I think there's something to understanding that what you allow to come through you, any kind of natural markings that you allow to come through you are an understanding beyond your current understanding, if that makes any sense.
Right.
And so I think some of these artists that are being studied centuries later, they didn't always know what they were doing. They were just being obedient and cooperative with their assignment, with their soul level assignment. And so when you think about American Soul, and just all of us that are alive right now, it's really the question of are you a cooperative component in the story? Are you
Yeah.
allowing through what God has assigned to you? And so maybe it is you painting literally what's going on,
Right.
or maybe it's you referencing things. Whatever it is, it's not supposed to be this logical pushing.
Right.
It's supposed to be more of an allowing.
Right. We got some folks that are on. We got 5 folks that didn't join
Good morning.
while you were listening. What's up, folks? So all right, so let's start there, right? So like that to me, even in a as far as topic of conversation, the way that you make those works is somewhat of like, to me, they register as a way of as a means of like mental departure. Like when I look at your stuff, because there's no like real format, like there's no like pre-made sketch, which is really dope, that there is that ability to tap into that. But I think there is some type of awareness that has to happen for you to make those lines, awareness of something that is, well outside yourself, and just accessing that. And I kind of feel like that, like making, so I'm trying to learn these guitar solos, and it's kind of like, it's a similar thing for me, in that like there's no pre-written script. You know what I'm saying? You're just kind of going off of a hum, right? Like, and in your head, you're kind of making that web of different sounds and textures and stuff like that. Yeah, that's how it looks to me in my head. So when I start playing and start nodding your head and stuff like that. Oh yeah, that's her work. I start doing that, and it's very interesting how to like be abstract in an auditory sense, and I'm so used to being abstract in a visual sense. And so making that, and it's the same thing for you, where with your work there is no pre-script, but it's abstract in the sense that like, that's kind of the best part of it. Let's go over here. Come here, Spade. So we walking with Spade today. Had 2 dogs the other day, but we just gonna walk with her up. She scooting through the grass. What are you doing, dog? All right, but yeah, and I think it's pretty cool to be able to like access intangibly, right? Like the intangibility of abstraction like that, and to never have something that's pre-written, scripted, or whatever like that. Come here, Spade. She liked the way that grass feel. But yeah, like I think that's really cool. So,
well, I mean, that's really like, if you think about like one of my favorite scriptures is to have childlike faith, right? So as we get older, when we're born, our subconscious, where our faith muscles live and our imagination lives and our joy overfloweth, where that just natural springing forth of energy, like I can run around for hours and I'm always excited, and that is naturally open when you're a child, right? So I would say from ages 0 to probably, the research says 0 to 6, but I think it lasts a little bit longer depending upon your environment and your parental units or guardian units. But I think that's kind of like one of the most amazing tricks of the world, and really what is the strength of an artist. If you can resist the gravity of the world that tries to close that part of you, right? That mental space that you're referring to. So it's the space that Jay-Z can do one take from.
right,
Because he can always tap into that.
right,
Right? It's the space that, like Whitney Houston, before she sang her famous rendition of the Star Spangled Banner, she heard it one time.
right.
People don't know that, but the
Oh,
arrangement,
I didn't know that.
yeah, it's really cool. Like, but there's a story, but they played the arrangement for her one time, and she sat with her eyes closed and listened.
See,
And
like
she went out there and sang, in my opinion,
over here.
the best rendition.
Oh yeah, absolutely the best rendition of Star Spangled Banner.
Yeah.
Auditorily, yes. Musically, Jimi
Yeah,
Hendrix to me.
no.
Hendrix to me is.
I mean, vocally.
Yeah, that's what I said. Vocally, but
As a vocalist.
Yeah. Which but if as a vocalist, yeah, I think her rendition blows everybody else's away. Absolutely. But yeah, like to be able to operate off of like that type of singularity, like to really just.
Singularity is a good word, because really what it is you remembering that you're one with God. And so if you can go into that space, that's what actually the word inspiration means. It comes from speedo, like being joined with the breath of God, so that whatever is running through you, ever streaming, this stream of wisdom and gladness and goodness and universal intelligence is always there for us. It's just our ability to tap into it. And so that's why practices, whether it's painting or meditating or singing or praying or journaling or walking, you have to commit to something every day that allows you to get into that. And to start your day on the right channel, per se.
Yep.
God's broadcast.
I think so, and there is that focus. So like that kind of swings me into like the discipline aspect of it. All right, we go back. That kind of swings me into like the discipline aspect of it. Come on, Spade. Which leads me to Picasso again, because you know how I feel about just his process. So, every day he got up and was tapped into like something that he knew he had a higher calling. Well, I do think that, like, you say what you want about him as a person and as an artist. I think he was very tapped in, all the time. Yeah, all the time.
Great people
You chasing birds, girl? Spade, you chasing birds, girl. Chill out.
So she's doing what you trained her to do? Oh, no.
Yeah. I'm like, God dang.
Oh, no. She's doing what you trained her to do.
So when we talk about being tapped in, Picasso is one of those people. So hold that for me real quick. I got notes.
Oh, Lord.
I'll be having, because I want to like tell the story correctly. So there was a story that I read about him.
Y'all, he's doing anything to make me hold his camera.
No.
Yes, he is.
Hey, come on.
This neighborhood dog, every time we pass this house,
So these notes, there's always been this story that I've known about Guernica and like how it was made and then the process of it being made. But what I did not know is, like, I knew that Nazis were involved, but what I did not know is the whole like conversation that happened. And so of course, good old Chat GPT, I had to like have it do a little bit of background digging for me. And so some of this is not because of it, it's Picasso's time during the 20s and 30s and during the World War II. Like, it wasn't a 100% official like documentation. So pardon me if there's some errors in there. But basically, he was making work about what was going on with the Spanish Civil War at the time, World War II. And so, and I think he was very, like, at the time, Pablo Picasso's work wasn't always highly political, but then there were times when it was. And I kind of be feeling the same way when I look at what's going on and think about this, and I be walking and just like really trying to observe the world, and I want to make work that's relevant. But I also want to make work that, like, it means something. Like, I'm just not always in that space, and I don't think he was either. But so getting to that story, I'm just gonna like,
just get to it.
Just get to it. Yeah.
Thank you.
No, I mean, I kind of want to do this. So anyway, the work was an issue, first of all, because if it was fundamentally incompatible with Nazi ideology of what acceptable art should look like, as they promoted like classical realism and didn't like anything avant-garde, like anything that was just new, innovative, that wasn't it. Look at what we're dealing with now, right? Like, as far as the censure of work. So, he actually didn't necessarily entirely go explicitly to war-themed art, but he actually continued it in a bunch of different genres. The exhibition, Pablo Picasso's War Years from 39 to 45, there were 70 works, sculptures, paintings, drawings that were kind of showing how he balanced like normal artistic concerns with like what was going on in the pressure of the time. So like that exhibition was about the yin and yang of the circumstance. And, he was actually considered a survivor of that and continued to work in that world. So the Guernica story, if you're thinking about all of that stuff, understand that this man was making work, and at any given time, anybody could come in the studio and say that ain't it, and we lock you up too. Um, so he painted Guernica in 1937 in response to the bombing of the Basque town of Guernica in Spain by the German and Italian forces aligned with the Franco's forces. And so, at home for him. Painting was still a massive anti-war. The painting was an anti-war piece. It was like the figures were crazy, like they were bombed. And it was a huge painting. And it became the symbol for fascist resistance. It was the quote unquote anti-fascist painting at the time without anybody really declaring that because you couldn't. So there was a point where the Nazis, there was a sketch in the studio. The Nazis came in and they asked him, "Did you do this?" And Picasso's response was, "No, you did it." And that was the like big mic drop moment, you know what I'm saying, for that, because, they were really trying to do it. So the version is most cited. That's the one that people talk about the most.
Okay.
And it was during the raid of Picasso's apartment by the Gestapo. The officer pointed to the reproduction of Guernica or the photograph of it, and then he asked that question. The response is often praised as a witty and defiant retort. The artist turned the blame back onto the perpetrators and was using his work to do that. So, you know, there's not a lot of documentary
Good
proof
morning.
of that. There's not a whole bunch of documentary proof of that. That story, was one of those kind of myths of Picasso that kind of fell into there. But again, it still leads back to he was so clever with what he was doing because he still never got locked up for it. You know what I'm saying? So he was still clever in what he did. He was clever in the representation, but he also didn't, he was still the artist that was so focused on everything going around him. Even an impactful moment like that was not the defining moment of that artist's entire career. And I kind of think about that where, again, I want to make things that are meaningful and talk about what's going on because I fundamentally think that there's going to be like an endpoint to everything.
Yeah, of course.
You know what I'm saying? And I think there's value in being able to look back on the work that we're making and saying like, man, this is what's going on. But this is what's going on in the context of how I view it.
Right.
And I think that's the most important thing. Like, what's how do you see it? What's your narrative? And still, can you still be kind of clever with it?
Yeah.
What did you think about that?
It's I always love art history lessons from you. I mean, um, it's definitely something I didn't know, and it's always so interesting to me, like the push and pull of energy, and it's like just the fact that he was making the work was a problem.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, which is wild, right? Like when you think about the fact that you sitting in your studio and making the work,
Yeah.
it's just a very interesting, and obviously there are lots of examples of that throughout history. They're more overt examples like, you know, Martin Luther King,
Yeah.
speeches, but that's still more of an outward.
That's an outward thing.
Display.
Yeah.
So
Like stories like that aren't always necessarily captured.
Right.
And I think those stories are important.
Right. And it's how, it's just interesting to me what causes such a reaction. And whether it's just capturing their times or telling the truth. But me, I always like to think of like from a macro level, like you and I and everyone listening, we could have been born at any intersection of time and space. but for some reason we're all alive right
We're
now.
all alive right now.
And we're
Yeah.
all earth mates. That's how I like to think about it.
And so what's
And
the
so,
responsibility while you're here? Like there's a job to do in a way. Like,
oh yeah, of course.
yeah.
And of course there's that. But there's also this like understanding that, you know, there are lessons that you're supposed to be learning as well. And so for me, when I think about going through times of great change, which Guernica was happening in a time of great change, which is why it's at the top of your mind like that, it really makes you think about how it really makes you think about how the lessons being learned are always universal. So Picasso didn't know that a time of great change would be happening in the United States of America's, you know, how many years later?
Almost 100 years later. Almost, not quite, but almost.
He didn't know that. But as the Bible says, there's nothing new under the sun. So everybody that's an earthmate, for whatever time you're called to be an earthmate, we're all here to really in the same universal curriculum. We just all, I kind of like to think of it like a kaleidoscope.
Mm-hmm.
We all are experiencing the world and God in different ways, but it's the same God, no matter what you call it, how you come to it. It's the same universe.